Hey guys, Dib the Awesome here to give you a Monster Legends Progression Island informational and explanation video. uh, so yeah, we're going to be talking about the Monstershore Island today. We're going to be explaining what a progression island is, and then we're going to be talking about the monsters you may obtain in this Monstershore Island event. Are they good? What did they exactly do? And I'll tell you everything about them in this video today. I'll tell you my thoughts, what have you. Overall, I really like this event. A lot of people are saying it's the best progression event ever, and I'd solidly agree with that. There are some pretty awesome monsters that you may attain for this event in particular, and you can pick up. I'm gonna say just straight up the bat, Swope Sam and Blob. This monster right here are monsters that you need for a upcoming breeding event for El Dino Volador. Volador. You may use, you need Blob. Blob is used in the recipe with Plymouth. He is a nature attacker monster that can give AoE life regen. He has an AoE life regen. He hits somebody and then he gives everybody life regen. I personally like him. Not too many people are fond of him. I like him a lot. He's got great, in terms of utility, he's got AoE, again, AoE life regen. He has a AoE poison, the thing that all nature's monsters genuinely have is an AoE poison. He has a single target. I do believe it does 50 damage. It poisons them, and it heals him by 30%. I love that attack. Good regeneration slash resourceful move. Really nice. Nice utility. And I do believe Swope Sam, if you use Wattenheart, you can bring Gangstosaurus. So be sure to get, hopefully you do have Wattenheart Ania. If you don't worry, you can get him on an upcoming sale for like, I think it was like probably 250 gems. That's probably, or 249 is probably going to be the general price for Wattenheart. But yeah, you can, bam, breed Gangstosaurus. If you have, I'm gonna say if you have Wattenheart right away, or, if you already have the two monsters necessary, you should have Swope Sam by that point. Really good monster to breed. Gangstosaurus isn't a bad monster to get. But we're not talking about the breeding event. This is just a general statement in general. They are giving us two monsters for the breeding event. I just wanted to mention that. That's just an upcoming thing. Now we're going to just talk about the progression event solely. So straight up, Swope Sam. Swope Sam is pretty much the freebie monster. Everybody gets him. This is the SpongeBob monster that everybody can already tell this is like the SpongeBob monster. And all of his moves are SpongeBob references, so this is obviously SpongeBob monster SpongeBob. Swope Sam, or so say. In all honesty, I call this creepypasta SpongeBob. That's basically all this is. What this guy is right here, creepypasta SpongeBob. Now, in terms of moves, he isn't all too great, or like in terms of trait, not too impressive either. It's immune to poison, which is it's helpful if it's like if you're in a poison fight. Absolutely, like had DOT at that point if it's a poison fight. He doesn't have like any AoE. I don't think he had like an AoE skill. All of his moves are genuinely single target based. They also drain a small amount of stamina and apply stamina leak, which is nice. I'm surprised he doesn't even poison himself. That wasn't the interesting part about him. In terms of moves, I kind of reminds me of the Seven Deadly Sins epic monster. I can't even remember it. It's like the Envy monster. Was the jealousy one, but he's pretty much like that without the poison, I do believe. More so think he's more so focused on stamina drain than anything else. So in terms of stats, he's all right. But in terms of moveset, lackluster. But hey, you should totally use this thing because one, it's SpongeBob. Two, he has a move that even references like this this guy's references the ugly barnacle episode. Why not? So I'm thinking about I'm gonna use him. That sounds like a fun idea. Swope Sam. aka SpongeBob. Really cool. I think it's a nice epic monster. People will love him. SpongeBob. What's to hate about him? Rorke. Rorke is a fan favorite amongst many ML players. He has an AoE freeze. He has a single target lifesteal. I think that's just the major thing, and he has like a single target freeze too. I do believe. Just a bunch of little neat things. I think his stats were well rounded. He's been out in a lot of events too, so generally speaking, he was actually, in all honesty, I do believe he was in the Freedom Planet event. I think he was in that. I would think he would be. Or like the planet, the Animal Planet maze, not the maze progression island, the last one. But yeah, this is an alright epic. People are excited for this thing too. It's like, hey, add that also monster to my collection. Alrighty, perfect sign. Blob. Let's talk about Blob here. Now everyone's excited about big old Blob. Now, but the first thing you're wondering through your mind, I bet Blob's a really awesome tank. Blob is not a tank. You would think by just the name alone, oh, this guy must be really tanky. Blob is generally referenced to, tanks. Marvel Comics Blob. I can't think of anything else with Blob characters in it, but you generally see a really big Blob, so it's probably a guy that can take a lot of hits. This guy cannot take a lot of hits. When you're running 22k life, you can't take much, no. But he is just because he can't tank anything doesn't mean he isn't like, he's actually really, really great. He's not a tank by any means, but he's probably one of the fastest, if not the fastest, water monster in the game, or just one of the faster monsters in the game too, as well. He has 100% stamina drain, really, really great, single target based. AoE 50% stamina drain, and I do believe that applies stamina leak too. A single target stamina drain. In fact, I should probably just pull him up. I actually have him myself here, just to pull up the set that is. I'm pretty sure it's the meta set for a deny set, especially. I run him single target. Yeah, so he does have a single target, 25% stamina drain. This also gives stamina leak. AoE that does. It's actually not an AoE that applies stamina leak. It's just an AoE stamina drain that's 50%. He has a 50% single target stamina drain, and he has a single target 100% stamina drain. So he's really, really great in sponging everyone's stamina, specifically the enemy's stamina, and his ultimate's also a 50% remove stamina and apply stamina leak. Now that's actually really, really devastating. In the case of the event, the enemy's already denied. If this happens upon them, they're going to lose a lot of stamina. So you can pair this up essentially with another denier and just pretty much deny them from ever doing a single thing ever, unless they get their ultimates. I'd say that's the only drawback. When using Blob as a denier, they have a chance to get their ultimate. That's the same, argument with Thetes, but for more often than not, you're more than likely screwed if you get stamina drain from Thetes. But he's really, in all honesty, in terms of speed, Blob is really, 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 really good in terms of outspeeding things, and he's really good at denying deniers, simply because, again, he's really, really fast. Just gonna take a drink of my tea here. Alrighty, so yeah, that's Blob in a nutshell. Really fantastic water monster. A lot of people are excited, and you have every right to be. Now this is this is obviously the newest legendary. This is the newest one, 10 Elementium. Now I don't need to brag about how good 10 Elementium is against every monster in the game. Clearly, 10 Elementium can outrank, all the monsters in the game. Clearly the best monster in the game. That's not really a monster. It's just 10 Elementium. And in all honesty, this is probably the easiest, the fastest quest ever. You just need one gold pot, just one, and you get it. That's the requirement of completing that quest. You just need one, and then you obtain it. There is no strategic, strategy. It's not a monster. It's just 10 Elementium. I was just messing around with you. Really nice though. That's nice that they're giving us 10 Elementium with a progression island event. They've never really done that before, and I like that. That's pretty much, here you guys go. Here's something for completing that Blob quest that took several years to complete. And that is the mission. I'm going to say Blob is genuinely speaking, not including like this last monster here, the monster I just tapped on here. This is one of the longest quests ever. One of them. And it's one of the first legendary monsters too. So that takes a lot of days. So if you get on this quest, by the time there's going to be an event where pull times are halved. I don't think I explained progression islands. Progression islands, theoretically speaking, is get a monster at your own discounted price. You pretty much choose the discount for when you want to obtain a monster. Generally speaking, this is the I want to say the most costy one. Team races are just gem spend fest. I'm gonna say for this part, you can have it where you can spend as much as you want, like you can spend on your own choice. You can get on your own terms. Uh, Words and pool times are genuinely speaking, they help you get the prices down faster. Like every time you do pool timing, the more items you have, the lower the cost of the monster is. So every 8 hours, you genuinely log in every 8 hours because that's when everything usually off cooldown. I do, or at least the egg portion. You do the your egg rotations every 8 hours, and then I do believe every like 2 hours or whatever for the food. You'd have to look that up by yourself. I think that's like 2 hours for gold and food. Look into that. But yeah, it's usually every 8 hours. But during the discount time event, or not the discount time event, the get more items during that time, log in every 4 hours. You should be log in every 4 hours. This will make this quest a lot easier to complete, so you don't have to spend an arm. I'm gonna say so you don't have to spend a arm and a leg. You may choose. I'm gonna say you may choose to spend if you do just get like a $50 gem vase, you can choose to rush this mission immediately and get quickly started on Polaris Star and possibly get this really cool angular fish monster. I will say that. This is probably the second monster that takes the most time to get. I can't think Frostbite taking any more longer than Blob. It could be a thing. It could not be a thing. I wouldn't know. I know Polaris Star is actually and between Polaris Star and Blob, actually Polaris Star takes less time. He just does. I looked at the wiki in terms of items. He takes less items than Blob. So Blob is by far one of the longest, not the longest, but he is really, genuinely speaking, really long to complete. So now that we're talking about Polaris Star, let's actually just talk about, or at least mentioning them, let's talk about them. So Polaris Star, in terms out of the 3 new legendary monsters, doesn't have the most broken moves ever. In fact, he shares Polaris Star can AoE bleed. The last monster can actually AoE bleed, and the last monster is actually an attacker. This is pretty much one of those monsters you build whatever you want with it. It doesn't have the fastest speed in the world. If anything, I do believe he runs on Thetis speed. I think he ran on that speed. And he doesn't run the highest attack in the world. If anything, it's below 3,400. So you just build him whatever you want. I do believe he holds 29k life, and he does have what's unique about him. His unique thing. He has a single target move that gives 25% of his life back, and I do believe it removes all the debuffs on him. It's only on a 1-turn cooldown, so you can kind of say he's kind of a sustainable monster. He can AoE freeze, which is really nice. Plus bleed, which is also really nice. Oh, excuse me. But beyond that, that's all he really does. He is immune to freeze. I'd say between him or Varna, which one I'd use personally. I'd use him because he's immune to freeze. That's just my thing. It's just one of those situations. He's all right. I'm gonna say he's an all right legendary, but he's not broken. He's in the middle. He's just there in the middle. He's not a monster to really argue about, really. All these monsters in this event are fantastic. None of them are pretty much close to worthless. They can be used. I'm saying they have usability. So yeah, this is I'm doing the all right sign right now. I'm doing the all right. All right, not the most broken thing in this event. But it's all right. There's no complaining about it. I kind of like to think this is a reference to since the SpongeBob's here. I kind of want to think this is like the Patrick Star. So I'm gonna call this guy Patrick, and this guy I might just call Creepypasta Bob, or SpongeBob. Maybe do a theme team on it. That would be funny. But yeah, now on to the next monster, who is extremely actually I want to talk about. This monster, Frostbite here, is considered really, really broken. Really, really cheap, and basically upgraded Thetis. This guy is not in the quote-unquote fair book, but he is really, really powerful. So that me saying that just means he's extremely strong, extremely broken. I do believe I talked about, I think I mentioned Frostbite, I can't remember. But Frostbite, genuinely speaking, he has a single target, AoE freeze, single target stamina drain, AoE freeze, all put into one. Really awesome deny move. Pretty much you can deny the water monster and then freeze the other two. And then he also has another AoE freeze. He has an AoE freeze that's a 2-turn cooldown. The combo rotation is really, really nice because first you do the Glacial Storm, which is the single target stamina drain plus AoE freeze, and then you do the AoE freeze, and then you use the other two moves, which is a single target stamina drain, which gives you energy return. And since he has the Energizer trait, he benefits from that. I'm gonna say this monster doesn't genuinely run out of stamina at any point because he's always getting that back. More often than not, he's getting it back. And then you can use other stuff to combo with that. So he's just really energy efficient that way. He's really good at getting the energy back. And the other move you put on it is the AoE stamina refill. It's double damage boost. It's an AoE scaling. Really nice to give everybody double damage. I've actually used him with Ukoduma, and that's crazy. A really, really powerful combination because he can benefit from the energy regen that Ukoduma offers on an AoE scaling. He works on with basically, I'm just mentioning something that works well with it. It's just an example, just a given example. But there are banes to this monster. This monster isn't all perfect. This thing doesn't have problems of its own. It does have problems of its own. It's only as good as long as you're ahead of the game. That's the huge thing you gotta know about Frostbite. If the enemy has a faster denier, you're not gonna have a good time. If this guy is denied the whole game, you're not gonna have a good time. You should have just brought something else. You can have the best kit in the entire game, but if you're shut down for the entire game, it does you no good. But yeah, it's a really good monster if you're ahead of the game. If you already know you're going to outspeed the enemy, for the most part, people usually attack people that are slower than them. This monster works really, really well. Not per se. If you have your build comp around the idea where you don't need to go first, if you have monsters that gives immunities to freeze and stuns and all that jazz, which there are monsters that can do that, you don't have to go first with Frostbite. You can build him supportively if you want, or like team speed, and just kind of have them be there as a supporting deny or like a secondary denier. You could run that idea. That's a totally runnable option. Have a mainstream denier and then run this guy as a second stream denier if you wanted to. He can run. Basically, he does have that double damage and stamina refill, which is nice on the most part. He's just there to cause whatever have you. It totally depends on what you build on him. Most people, though, do build him full speed. That's just how they build them, and that's completely fine, because when you're stocked up on speed, when you're really, really high on speed, your cooldowns don't exist anymore, pretty much. Especially the monsters that are really, really slow, or like you have X runes and your enemy doesn't. You can just shut them down the whole game, and they've pretty much lost the game. But Frostbite is fantastic. If anything, this is the most hyped monster out of this entire event. People are really, really excited about Frostbite. They're really, really surprised too. You wouldn't think this would be in a C event. It is, and everyone's hyped out about it. Everybody's happy about it, and they have every right to. This is a really awesome monster. There's nothing really bad about him at all. It's fantastic. I use him during live streams. People love it when I use him. I call mine Toothpick. Let me know what you guys name yours in the comments below. But anywho, this is a really good denier. I'd say this is a satisfying point. If you can get to this point, this is really great. A lot of people think you can only get up to Frostbite with the time given. I don't know, try it. See what happens. That's why I said, if you can't get Blob at 225 to give you more time for this event, you could possibly get any Piast here. I think that's how you pronounce his name, any Piast, any Piast, which is a really weird name. But anyway, let's talk about this guy now since I'm on him. This monster is really, really cool by design. There's no denying that. He's really, really cool. What does this thing actually do? Like, you would think this thing would be like an attacker, just straight up the bat. He's actually not. He's actually he can swing either or. He may swing either, just full on, just like a full speed rune denier. I'd feel really uncomfortable running him as full denier because he only has a AoE possession skill and he has a single target possession. But he's got supportive things about him too. He's I say he's the first. He's probably one of the first monsters, not to including like Bowtie or at least like every single one of his moves on his set. Wait, I'm gonna take that back. He's probably not, but or maybe on an AoE scaling, where you can have a build where there's straight up like the 3 mainstream denies in this game, and you can build this guy to have basically every single deny immunity you could ever want. With this guy right here, he has a spammable AoE immunity to stun. He has a 1-turn cooldown AoE immunity to freeze. And he has a 1 or 2 turn cooldown AoE to immunity to possession, which actually denies Hackster deny, because it's a. I wonder if they've just upgraded the stat recently, or just either just give it out to new monsters, where you can actually, if you do the immunity, you can block off Hackster's advanced deny or Glitch's advanced deny. There we go. That's the number. that's the thing I was thinking about. Where you can block the advanced deny, which is really, really nice. Now I don't know if like his spammable AoE immunity to stun blocks mega stun. That's something to test. You should totally test that to see if that's a thing. But you can build him either as a full-on deny. You can build him as a denier. I know honestly I would feel uncomfortable building him full-on deny just because he doesn't have a secondary. He doesn't have a second AoE deny. Personally, I'd feel awkward running, but you may run it. Most people will probably run it that. It's just something I don't know. I'd build him as a secondary denier / support because all of his moves genuinely give immunities to deny. That's just kind of the thing, which is fantastic. This monster is hands down really, really great. Comparing it to the 3 new legendaries in this event, this is the best one. Being able to give AoE immunity to freeze, really, really great. Giving the ability to give AoE immunity to stun, immunity to possession, basically all the mainstream deny in the entire game. Fantastic, really, really nice, really, really great, really, really diverse monster that pretty much works in any kind of situation you want it to. He runs at the gospel power, not the gospel power, but basically the gospel stat for both speed and power at 465, which is really, really nice. 3,465, really, really great, really, really nice, really, really strong. Personally, for me, I did say I'd build him kind of like a secondary denier / support, which that means that basically just means I'd run 2 speeds and a life rune, or maybe something else, maybe try something different, kind of like how I built Kalik. If you ever seen my build for Kalik, that's probably what I'd build him. Or I could try a life rune build, because while having immunity to stun is really, really great, it doesn't do you any good if they can kill you in that span of time, or like they can pub stomp. Pub stomp, yeah, that's what I mean. But it's fantastic being immune to all the deny in the game. Genuinely speaking, in this game, when monsters are running really, really high speed, and you have a monster that can give everyone immunity to their mainstream denier, you have a good chance not to be denied the whole game. It allows you to build kind of lets you build something different other than a brittle twig, I should say, because you don't necessarily have to go first at that point. Since you're immune to deny. You can move freely. Of course, that's situational on defense. It is situational on defense. It depends on what AoE immunity it gives you during that time. But it's a really strong monster. I'm going to say that right off the bat again. Fantastic monster. Try different. I'm going to say I encourage different rune builds for this. Try this out. Try this with different support builds or different deny builds or whatever have you. Try it. I recommend it. If I do get this thing, I'm going to tamper around with it, see what works, see what doesn't work. And yeah, I'll get back to you on that if I do get it. But right now, I think this is really cool. In all honesty, between the 3 new legendaries, this is my favorite one too. I do believe Armor Gaming saying this was his favorite one out of the 3, and I like it too, honestly. It's really cool. It's an angular fish, and it's really, really, it's that nightmare fuel. That's what it is. Nightmare fuel, man. Speaking of nightmare fuel, this next monster here, I'm gonna butcher this name right here. Hiron Delor. This weird looking toothpick fish. This monster, I'd say, he's an attacker. He does attacking things. He has an AoE special base bleed. Really, really nice. And he has an AoE Nightmares. Both of them, both stats are guaranteed, unless, you're obviously blind, then you have a less chance to land it. But basically, it's two for sure. It's for sure going to land on two different effects. It's kind of like Balthazar, without the swapping of odds, that kind of dealio. He has a single target bleed, and he does have a single target nightmare. So it's just kind of one of those monsters that kind of just keep refreshing. If let's say you do clear the bleed, let's say you do clear the nightmares, you can proc that again. He has moves that can reapply that. They have cooldowns too, of course. The AoEs are actually on 2-turn cooldowns, which is really, really nice. They get back up again. I think the major thing about him, though, the thing that everybody's really, really psyched about is that he can do a self double damage buff. He has one that does double damage. Excuse me. He has one that does double damage. And he has a self skill that gives immunity to freeze and damage boost with it. Personally, I'd run that, or maybe not. It depends on my comp. I'm gonna say, depending on what you plan on pairing this up with, will determine whether or not you run the, immunity to freeze skill or just the double damage skill. Because he has your double damage skill. Leave it to the support to deal with all that shindigs, what have you, or your secondary denier if they can do immunity to freeze like this. Again, going back to this thing, we can set up immunities for you. We can do that for your team. The stats on this monster are fantastic, all in the 30Ks. Fantastic, just really, really great in terms of stats, stat-wise. Its trait is hardened, so it runs the trolley full tick trait we all genuinely, secretly love / hate too. It's good when it does work. It's not good when it doesn't work. A lot of people like to have the philosophy that if they do have a self skill, it's genuinely immune to possession. I'm gonna say no. I'm gonna say no, because if the possessor has another possession skill, they're not immune to possession at that point. No, if they can keep applying it more, then you can do the self buff. At some point, your attacker will attack, and it's just that's just that. It's just that in a nutshell right there, folks. Overall, I really do like the skills. If anything, nothing too that's not been done before, I'd say. His ultimate actually does apply bleeding nightmares. It's just a monster that likes to recycle its DOT stat, which is it's all right. In all, it does I do believe it's a 15 in total. In all honesty, in terms of DOT damage, is 15% in total. So essentially, you're setting up burn within 2 turns. It's a nice thing. You could argue even at that time, once you even have it done, that they're already dead because you've hit them with 2 AoEs with your attacker. So the amount of damage they probably do is probably nuts. But yeah, he's an attacker with some utility, and I like that. That's really nice. He's an attacker with utility. I love in all honesty, I love attackers that do really special things, some special things, or just some really, really neat utility things, in the form of DOTs, self buffs, really nice. Or they have an ultimate that's just really, really absurd and random as hell. But overall, again, really, really nice event. I'm hoping to get up to this thing. I wouldn't mind having this. I wouldn't mind messing around with it with a few monsters that I have. Triumph full denier, Triumph sub denier / supportive. See what works, what doesn't work. Again, it's a monster that you guys should really, really experiment with. See what works, see what doesn't work. Try it. Mess around with it. Mess around with the room builds. I feel like it's just one of those monsters that doesn't necessarily need to go first to win. It's totally like you can bring it to a situation where all they have is an AoE possessor, and then you can deny their possession with this monster. Or if you wanted to, you can find a situation where you go before their second monster. If they have an AoE denier for their second monster, you can do the AoE immunity to either freeze or stun, depending on that situation. Again, you can bring him to situations. He's pretty good at denying a lot of deniers in situations. Again, he excels at that alone. And all that jazz, yeah. Overall, again, like the event. I'm giving the thumbs up already. I hope you do love this event. I did the awesome, and I'll catch you guys later.